So I'm Paul Dergarabedian, Senior Media Analyst for Comscore, and I'm here at the beautiful Cinépolis, Westlake Village. I'm here with Joe Garel, the VP of Film for Cinépolis, here in Theater 5. It's absolutely beautiful here. I'm so excited to have you on the many screens, big picture, inaugural video interview. Welcome, Joe Garel. How are you?
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to see you. I want to, I have a bunch of questions for you, but I want to talk about the family, your family in specific.
Yeah.
You told me before we started shooting that you are fourth generation in the business. Let's talk about that a little bit. I love this.
Yeah. So my great-grandfather started Nickelodeons in Deadwood, South Dakota.
Really?
Yep, back in the Western days, and he grew a little circuit throughout the Northwest there, and then my grandfather, learning from him, but not going with his business, started his own circuit.
Oh, okay.
And came down to Colorado, and that's where I was born, in Colorado, and we had, I believe he had 6 theaters, and then my dad ended up working for him.
And your dad is?
My dad is David Garel, who was general sales manager of Sony through the 90s.
I worked with
in
David.
2000s.
What a great guy.
He is
really
a great
cool.
guy. Yeah. And now I'm in the business. I worked as a theater manager all the way up to VP of film, and done distribution and now exhibition.
That's so cool. And so I assume you're a movie fan. You obviously, it's in your blood.
Oh, yeah.
But you could have gone any direction you wanted in your career, but you chose this. Yeah. Why do you feel that you had to go this route? It was built in, or
it was. As a very young child, I knew I wanted to be in this business, and whether it was exhibition, distribution, or production,
right,
I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm happy where I'm at, and I know that there's a future still here, so I'm still going with it.
Well, we're going to talk about that future quite a bit. I want to set the table of how we got to where we are sitting here in 2022, post-summer at the movies, and the pandemic obviously threw the entire industry into upheaval. A lot of business models were accelerated. I know you have a lot of very interesting opinions on that.
Yeah.
And it certainly changed the business to have, I remember back March 2020, theaters essentially shut down other than drive-ins. And here we are now, 2.5 or so years later, with a very different business, very robust business, but definitely has seen a lot of change. So I want to talk to you about the opportunities as you see them that are out there right now for movie theaters. And it's easy after a summer where we had hit after hit after hit to look at the bright side, but I want to look at some of the challenges and opportunities that you feel are facing movie theaters today.
Yeah, for sure. So, some of the main opportunities are that we've seen, I think, in this post-pandemic world is that new content providers are starting to come through, and we're being less reliant on studio content and getting opportunities to play concerts and TED Talks and educational series and religious series and all these different things where we can fill our auditoriums during the week that we haven't really been able to. Mm-hmm. With that, also technology is spurred. So we've seen companies like Meta Media come out of the woodwork and offer, streaming ability in our theaters for live streams without a satellite and without that kind of content. And then you have companies like MoviePass that are coming back, and they're going to be new and improved, and there's going to be like new ways of buying a movie ticket that have never existed before. So these are all opportunities that I think kind of came through the pandemic, because of what we went through.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we're seeing less content from the studios, and so we got to look elsewhere to fill our seats, and I think that's a real opportunity.
And it's a 7-day-a-week business,
7-day-a-week
right?
business, yes.
But not every day is the same, right?
No, not every day is the same.
So what do you?
Some of the challenges that we've had, like for example, we're seeing 33.7% less film titles this year than we did in 2019,
right.
And we got to get back up to 120 plus to survive. Like that's what all the economics work to get us to the numbers we need.
Is that the biggest issue in your
I'd say
eyes?
yes. That really is the biggest issue. And right now, 2023 with only 84 titles,
Now you're talking about wide release major
titles.
content.
Yeah. I mean, as we went in, we go in from October looking at the future, you put a budget together, and we have admin budgets that we have to hit. And when a studio moves a title, it's okay that it moves to the following year, but we have to replace those admins somewhere. And that's really the hardest part of today's economics.
So that's where you think maybe filling that in with event cinema or TED Talks, all the things you mentioned are a good way to bolster attendance, let's say midweek when you don't have the movies there. And you mentioned 33.7% fewer titles. That translates to a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Forgetting the percentage, that's a lot of film, and every film could represent 10 million, 100 million, we don't know, it depends on the movie.
Absolutely.
But so each movie represents a ton of revenue, also people being interested in going to the movie theater. And how do you, and also isn't it, I've always kind of preached this, but that this is a momentum business, right?
Yep.
So if people are coming through the door, they're seeing in-theater marketing out here in your lobby and in the hallways, they're watching trailers. That's really important for your business to keep that momentum going, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's times where I can remember where people would come in and watch the trailer, the excitement of the trailer release.
Right.
Remember when I think Star Wars Phantom Menace hit? It was like, oh my God, we got to go see it in the theater. It has to be done,
Well, there's something about seeing a trailer in here, right? On that big screen.
Definitely.
And real quick, and I'm getting a little off topic just for a second, let's not forget about the sound, right? We always talk about that big screen.
Oh, yeah.
But what about the sound quality in here? I mean, I've come to this theater all the time. It's my local theater, Cinépolis Westlake, and the sound is, to me, and I'm a music guy and a sound guy, so it's very important. How does that figure into the equation for you and your team? Is that something you push out there, or is it just automatically there and people just get it?
No, I mean, there's a lot of protocols and technology that goes into place, and our experts are some of the best in the industry. I mean, our sight lines, if you really get into it, when you're sitting in a chair and you're looking at the screen, we do it just perfectly so you are in the most comfortable position watching a movie. You go to any cinema and you'll see a different sight line wherever you go.
And it's something that the audience doesn't really know, but they feel it, right?
Oh,
if it's
yeah,
a good experience.
And then you have the sound that just, it makes your heart beat. It makes your stomach rumble. It does all these wonderful things that you will never be able to replicate at home. I don't care really how big your system is.
You're
it's
right.
never the same.
Well, like Top Gun, the opening scene.
God,
I mean, come on. That's like
the bell charming.
Yeah.
Bong.
Bong. Yeah. I love that. Boom. They use that a lot in the marketing, but in the theater, that sound is like iconic, kind of baked into the DNA of all of the film fan that is out there. Now, I want to talk to you about the proliferation of streaming, and do you see Apple Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, Apple Plus. I mean, you can name off all these various streaming services. Are they additive and complementary to your big screen business? Or is this adversarial? Or does it matter? Does each business operate on its own and rises and falls on its own merits?
It's a great question. I think that the answer is you could answer it any way to make it work, right? Yeah. So I think the real look is you got to look at your customers. So Cinépolis, we're a luxury dine-in concept. Most of our customers have really great systems at home where they can sit and watch a movie and all this great content that's being provided by TV right now. I mean, it's probably some of the best original content we've seen on TV in years. I think, and it's amazing. But what I'd say is let's look at like the data, right? Like that's what I would look at. And you have a perfect example with Halloween. Right, so we go to 2018. The original Halloween comes out. It's tracking through the roof, and it opens to $70+ million. That's great. Then we've got a pandemic, and it just shuts the industry down. And we go to 2021, and we have the next Halloween again tracking through the roof. But this time they're like, we gotta kind of be safe and go day and date with the Peacock, right? Yep. So what happens is we cut the gross in half and it opens to like, $49 million. So how much of that was pandemic? How much of that was streaming? How much of that was piracy, which doesn't really get talked about a lot. Right. But once you put one of these films onto a streamer, there's a perfect, pristine copy available for pirates, and it goes wild. It's like catching wildfire.
You know, most people don't think about that. It is a perfect, pristine.
It's as good as you possibly
copy,
can get.
right?
And the second it hits, it's available within minutes.
So that's a big issue too, obviously.
Absolutely, and I would love to see the statistics of actual how much piracy happens on a film, and I know they do. It's out there, but we don't really talk about that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Halloween because the horror movie has been a mainstay of the box office forever, but particularly so when the pandemic hit. That became the go-to genre. In fact, in our Comscore data, about $1 billion in box office since March 20 of 2020, and most lately, Smile opened well and is
what
a
a success
performer.
story that was.
Yeah.
I mean, it overperformed, did $22 million at the box office this weekend. That was essentially a streaming title, and now it's going theatrical. I mean, can you imagine had Fox/Disney done that with the Predator movie? Oh my God,
right.
That could have been $80 million at the box. And let's really get into it. This new the Bette Midler witch movie.
Hocus
Pocus 2 that just came out. I think that, who knows, that could have been $150, $200 million film right there theatrically.
Well, maybe this sort of test kitchen, if you will, of the pandemic as related to the box office is giving us a lot of lessons in real time. By us, I mean the industry writ large.
Absolutely.
That we now are seeing. It's not just us saying theatrical is best, your biggest bang for the buck is go theatrical first. It's being proven in the numbers. And that's not to say that streaming isn't great, people don't love it and all that. But these are two business models that are very different.
Yeah, but what we are seeing is companies like Warner Brothers pulling back. And that's where it's okay. So let's focus on this.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're saying, okay, there's longevity and a life for a film once it goes in a theatrical component. And people have a shared experience watching this movie. Like, you can probably think of the first movie you kissed your first girlfriend in, and that movie will resonate with you for the rest of your life.
That's true.
But can you remember the $150 million film that Netflix put out at Christmas time 2 years ago?
No, it doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, it's 6 underground. Gone. But let's say we take the Netflix films and these great films that are being produced, and we put a marketing budget behind it, and it grosses, let's say, $100 million at the box office, just like Knives Out did, right? For Lionsgate. Let's put this into today's perspective. We get the new Knives Out 2 coming out, and we gross $100 million that Netflix gets to keep and put back into that amount of money that they spent for it. But then they can take the film and go exclusive on Netflix and nobody else.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. There is life in these films that is being completely missed out because of the shared experience.
Well, don't you think too, it's because a movie theater and a movie, to me, is more of a bespoke experience. In other words, the ecosystem of streaming is so huge that each movie is like a drop in this giant ocean of content, whereas in a movie theater, even though there are many films released every year, pre-pandemic, 11 billion a year in domestic box, 40 billion plus globally, but still it's and I don't mean a small business, I mean it's again, bespoke, curated, culturally relevant and resonant experience that you share. And you're right, people remember the first movie they went to that had an impression on them or on their first date. There's just something about the movie theater that imparts that. I think part of it too is you're sitting within these four walls of the movie theater, and architecture has an impact on your psyche. Getting out of the house, the eventization, if that's a word, of going out. So I think that's really cool. But I get what you're saying. It's definitely different to release a film day and date than it is to go theatrical first, even with the window. Now, let's talk about windows real quick.
Sure.
There was this, it was a bridge too far for many years to go shorter than 90 days on the theatrical window. I think one thing the pandemic did is accelerate that and allowed people to accept, by people I mean studios generally, to accept a shorter window, a dynamic window.
Yes.
How important is that to the industry to have those dynamic windows?
Well, I mean, clearly it's important. I mean, I think the bigger the window, the stronger the ability for the film to gross theatrically.
Right.
And we saw that with Top Gun. I mean, Top Gun played for, it still is. I mean,
it's still playing.
I'm still holding it in my complexes today. And I'm not kidding, I've seen it 3 times theatrically, and every time was great. So I
absolutely
couldn't have a better movie doing that. But the dynamic window isn't for, the long window isn't for every title, and then that has been proven, and this is great. So we can, come off a title after 17 days if we have to, or 21 days, or 35 days, or 45 days.
It's not good to leave a movie in a theater if no one's going in there to see it.
No one's showing up. Why are we putting it in?
Exactly.
What's kind of given us the ability here is this, let's look at it a little differently than 2 weeks clean kind of model. This 5 shows a day scenario that we did, pre-pandemic. Now we're looking at how do we program our screens dynamically so that we can maximize the occupancy on every hour.
So it's not set it and forget it anymore.
No, it's every
or was
minute.
It ever?
Well, for me, since I've started, every minute I'm looking at okay, what can I do? How can I figure out? How do we maximize the occupancy on the 2 o'clock hour and the 4 o'clock hour and the 7 o'clock hour?
Does that come from your old school, because we talked about this before we started filming, that there are old school ways of doing business that are either outmoded now or still there. What are those old time?
Well, the old time is the 5 shows a day for 2 weeks guaranteed, no matter what. If you want to play our film, you got to do it this way. Well, right. Guys, like kids films don't sell at all during the 10 o'clock hour or the 9 o'clock hour. Like, what if we do things differently and maximize the daytime hours with the family fare, and the adult content goes after the evening, and we give them the best show times for the best films, and everybody wins.
Do you think, though, that because of the pandemic now, it does open it up more to having everyone open to change? Like, in other words, not stuck in the old modes of doing business?
The doors are opening for that. And the reason is, the studio shortened the windows. What did we do?
Yeah.
We didn't do anything as far as exhibition goes. It's not like we're gonna, do this. Like, we're just, okay, you shorten the windows, now we got to figure it out. So let's try to make this as lucrative as possible for both parties. And let's figure out this partnership, and let's make it better for everybody, because right now is the biggest opportunity probably in the history of our business for change.
Right.
And this is it. Let's do it.
Well, isn't disruption often just that? Yeah. A disruption like the pandemic kind of forced everyone to accelerate their thinking or change the business model and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for example, Cinépolis, we're offering a brand new menu this week, and we've got a hummus and avocado toast, and we've got a new macaroni and cheese that they've created.
I'm hungry right
now.
now.
I know, right? And even fried pickles. This
does that make it super? I see you get very excited when you're talking about the menu.
Well, I get excited
because that's dynamic like Windows, right?
Absolutely. So what we're doing is we're upping the element to come to the movies. Like, we could just be selling popcorn and hot dogs and nachos, and that's it, and candy. Or we can offer other things and really cool, recliner seats and
such as these.
Yeah, and make you feel like you're getting your money's worth when you go out.
Well, it really is an event to come here.
Absolutely.
I really feel like Cinépolis, that's why we always come here, is because it is an event. I'm not just saying that, it really is. It's a different type of experience to be in this theater. But the food and the drink and all that is really important, obviously.
Oh, God. Yes.
And that was one of the things, though, during the pandemic, it also affected that. Of course, you know better than anyone. You couldn't really serve food. You had to wear a mask the whole time. You couldn't really serve food. Yep. I mean, what an impact on an industry that came back. Like, it wasn't just about fewer movies at the end, and there's still fewer movies. I'm talking about many fewer movies when the box office was cut in half and all that. But not only that, but concessions and all of that, really, that takes a huge toll.
Well, as we're coming back, people are spending. They want to go and have a good night out. Yeah. And that's been kind of the savior.
And they want a premium experience.
They absolutely do. I mean, nobody, the days of those dirty theaters with the popcorn on the floor and,
those days are gone.
The floors you're walking, like, I can't imagine that being much of the future for our business now that we've really set the tone. And
no, you really have.
Cinépolis really done a great job getting other exhibitors out there to step it up.
Well, the competition level has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And now that sort of the genie's out of the bottle, that everyone's experienced this kind of experience, you can't really get away with not providing that.
No.
And I would argue it's a bargain. Even
yes
people
and
complain.
No. And so let's
let's talk about and then I have many other things I want to talk about. Yeah, let's talk about from your perspective. So what's the value proposition?
Look, our prices on everything from goods to film to rent to everything is going up. You know, there's the shipping and whatnot.
Right.
Blanking on it.
Well, but I was talking more about the price of.
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. So start over. It's okay.
So we're seeing our prices on everything in our business drastically increase right now.
So your costs
Our costs are
are going up.
Yeah, it's every business is going up. The economy is in a weird spot right now, right?
Yep.
So with that, you have to raise your prices to survive. And that's the scary part, because the further you raise your price, the less people are coming to the theater.
Yeah.
So we had, let's say, 6 million admits last year. This year we're going to have 5.8 because we had to increase it by 10% or whatever,
Price sensitivity is definitely there.
Right. And I think that's where the real opportunity lies within our business.
And what do you think about, and I'm just going to talk about, it's not in the questions, but, National Cinema Day, we found in our data really boosted movie going on that Saturday.
It was reminiscent of a Tuesday bargain matinee day.
Yeah.
Those were the people that came out. They're $3 tickets. Let's do it. Let's go to the movies,
And that segues perfectly into my next question, which is talking about the difference between the weekend and midweek. You alluded to this earlier with, I think midweek is a great time to put in alternative content or different types of programming. But there's a fixation, obviously, both from a box office perspective and just everyone fixates on the weekend,
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But what are those really cool opportunities midweek? And do you see a lot of movie going then? Do people are there ways for you to entice more people midweek? Are you doing anything to do that?
Absolutely. So at Cinépolis, we started offering half off Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. We get you get one bargain matinee day based on the principles of the the studios and the contracts that we get. So.
Right.
Everybody's doing that Tuesday bargain pricing. What we did was half off, and what we said is, we're offering a much better experience than most of our competitors are offering. So, we can't charge $5 a ticket to come sit in a theater and all the food concepts and the service levels that we provide. But what we saw was a spike in admits that was very reminiscent of Sunday afternoons and Sunday days in general for Tuesday. And with that, it's really spurred on kind of this idea of pricing and how we look at it. Mm-hmm. And I think that dynamic pricing really is going to take effect in the next few months, if not year. But it's going to be something that we're going to be able to cater to all socioeconomic levels. That is from the lowest of the level to the highest. And your 7 o'clock is going to be more expensive, or your 7 p.m. is going to be more expensive than your 10 a.m. But the ability to have that dynamic pricing is the key. And you go back to one of the old ways is you have a per cap minimum, that's on your master license agreement. And guys, we got to work around that. Like I know that your content is valuable, but if we can bring in 30-40% more people, that means more money in your pocket, means that you win altogether as a studio.
Well, it seems like you're not locked into you are open-minded to doing business in a different way.
Yes, there's a real opportunity for partnership right there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big time things that we got to start working out. Let's figure out how we can all make more money together, that we can make this whole business work better so that we're all not struggling, Yeah.
And I think some of the things I was going to ask you about the innovations that Cinépolis does, and you talked about a couple of those with the half price Tuesdays and all that kind of stuff. What about Handpicked, one of my favorite of your promotions? I have to bring it up, where you show older films. I saw Dirty Harry here on the big screen for the first time, I don't know, since the 70s. The Big Lebowski here, North by Northwest. I mean, do you choose these? Do you have a team? I want to be on that team. I want to help pick these really for myself. Where did this idea, and I know others have done it, but you guys do it really well.
Well, Liz Deutsch and I, we're the team together. And Liz is fantastic, analytical, and we do a lot of discussions about how we program film, and when we're doing the handpicks, we had this idea, let's say in January, we knew that Amazon was bringing out Lord of the Rings, this series.
Oh yeah, yep.
So we figured out what day it was. and then 3 weeks prior to that, we started Lord of the Rings 1 on Wednesday, and then we did Lord of the Rings 2 and Lord of the Rings 3. Well, we sold out not only one set of showtime, we sold out 2 sets of showtimes in every building across the circuit, because we were able to piggyback off of the Amazon marketing, and that's what caused.
See, I love this.
That's outside the box thinking, right?
Well, it's also, you're not just looking at the movie release calendar for movie theaters.
No, now we're looking at
the world,
streaming.
right?
And for the other example I had was The Godfather. So we looked at Paramount Plus as The Offer. I don't know if you've seen that show.
Oh, are you kidding?
It's amazing.
That's my show.
And so we knew that there was an audience out there watching this, and everybody's talking about it. So with our finger on the pulse, we said, let's play Godfather 1 and 2, and let's see what happens. We sold out every single show.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and so far to date, we're at like 47,000 admits for this year, just on our handpicked series alone.
Wow.
And that says there's like, people want to go see these.
Well, that goes back to it's additive and complementary, the big screen and the small screen. But you're actually, I like the strategic planning.
Yes, that's key. Knowing what's coming, understanding what the world is coming at you, and how, somebody's talking about, Goonies or whatever, where is that happening? And then, it's actually in this DMA. Well, now you're in the DMA and you're like, throw the Goonies in, and suddenly it works,
And it is some of those older titles. I know that when the pandemic first hit, drive-ins were playing a lot of those those old archival titles or library titles.
Yep.
And they were just doing, and I know Goonies was one that was doing great.
It was doing
business.
great. Yeah, Goonies saved a lot of theaters during the downtime of the pandemic.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew Goonies?
Warner Brothers and Universal were great, then Paramount had a great, all three of those guys really just came up and stood up and said, here's some good product for you to play, and thank God they were there.
And it just shows, again, the importance of the big screen experience. Because to see a movie that you could have bought 20 years ago and watched at home, to want to go out to a movie theater now and see it on the big screen fully shows the differentiation in the minds of, I don't even want to call them consumers, film fans, movie lovers, that the special place that the movie theater holds for them. The sight and the sound and the communal environment is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Just a quick story, my mom and my grandmother in South Dakota, my grandfather's running the movie theater there, and Hitchcock asked for extras for North by Northwest up at the monument there, and so they went up and they're in the background of that movie. Yeah, so my mom and my grandmother are in North by Northwest,
and you're in this video,
and I'm in this video.
So we come full circle. I mean,
very Hitchcock.
Very much so. I love that. I love that story. That's great. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I want to ask you about what are the I know there's fewer movies, major studio product. So Joe, what are the movies that you see coming up in 2022 and then into 2023 that really excite you, either from a box office perspective or just you're excited to see them? Yeah. What are those movies?
For 22, we've got Black Panther. I mean, we had tickets go on sale today, and we had 1,000 tickets sold within the first couple hours, and now I can't wait to go back and see what's gonna where we're at.
Probably
now,
the counter's going up.
I saw that with Star Wars. It was like sold out.
Right?
I was like, yes. So we're excited about Black Panther. You have Avatar: The Way of the Water. We saw a little bit of footage on it at the NATO thing, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to actually see the whole film, And
I think that's what everyone's excited to see.
And James Cameron's never under-delivered. He always over-delivers, and I think it's going to be gigantic.
There's a lot riding on this, though, because what is there, a third, a fourth, a fifth on the calendar?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, those are...
If anybody's going to be able to pull it off, I think it's James Cameron.
Absolutely. And then you have Fabelmans.
And that was the other one I was going to say. Fabelmans looks like probably best picture of the year.
Yeah, Spielberg's love letter.
My hope and pray is that Universal releases the film much faster, because I have a feeling this thing's going to sit in our theaters probably through February.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know, and there's way more money for them to make if they do it instead of, hold off and go slow. And, I know that there was those ways of distribution planning, but this film...
It's funny that you say that, because we were talking about earlier about the old-timey ways of doing things.
Yep.
But you're right. Sometimes these movies, get them out there
if they're good
full
enough,
on.
Yeah, I mean, look at Top Gun. It just hung in there,
and still going, like you said.
And then last is Babylon. I think,
Oh, yeah,
I think
Babylon.
Babylon for us is going to be a home run.
Well, Damien Chazelle.
Oh my God, La La Land's one of my favorite
Still
movies.
Whiplash,
God,
dude. Whiplash,
is
that's
fantastic.
my movie right there. I think there's so many cool movies, and next year looks tremendous.
Next year's got a lot of film. What's great about next year's slate is the amount of $100 million films versus this year. Right. So I think we'll see a 20% increase in box, and I think that is going to be essential to us getting back on track to 2019. Right. I think ultimately at the end of the year we'll still be down probably 25% from 2019. But we're getting there, and that means 25 and 26 could actually get us to that level. We just need more product. We need the 120 films a year.
That's the main thing, right?
Absolutely. But, of the films that I'm waiting, I can't wait to see Dune 2. Dune 1 was probably my favorite film of last year.
And was available day and date and still killed it in the theater.
Did 100 million. It could have done 500 million.
Oh, I know. But it was a movie that even though people knew they could watch it at home.
Yeah.
Well, and also Denis Villeneuve, what a visionary.
Yes.
And the imagery on screen, every frame is like a work of art, but it's mainly a work of art.
I saw
it
twice, both times at the Chinese.
Did you know what was going on in that movie? I
did. No. Oh my God, I loved every second of it. I was such a nerd. But,
I don't read. I watch movies.
Let's see. We got Dungeons and Dragons. I think movie's gonna deliver. Looks so over the top fun. I can't wait. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think we're gonna cry our eyes out in this movie. From the first footage we saw, looks amazing.
Yep.
Can't wait for
Agreed.
it. And then I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, so Ghostbusters sequel. I can't wait.
I love the last one. The
Oh my
Jason
God, it was
Reitman
great.
one. It was so
Oh
good.
God, man, talk about
that
crying
movie.
your eyes out with Ivan Reitman.
Oh, I know. Don't spoil it. Wait, everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
No,
and
that's
then
really
the
cool.
last is Star Trek. I'm a total nerd. I love sci-fi, and I can't wait for Star Trek.
That's a great lineup of films. But I really think it's what I'm getting from you, and we're going to wrap up here in about a minute or so. But what I'm really getting from you, Joe, is that you love this business.
Yes.
But you also love serving the audience or the patrons or the movie fans that come into your theater. I think you look at it as how would you want to be treated, or what would you want to see up on that big screen, or what options would you want if you walked into a theater, and you're able to actually make that happen along with your team.
Yep.
And it's pretty incredible.
Well, we go and watch every movie that's available, and we only pick the best movies for this audience to see. And like Woman King that just came out.
Yep.
Oh, what an amazing film. Yeah. I loved every second of that film. What an action-packed, kind of out of left field surprise hit. And sure enough, it's doing great at the box office. And we're very happy with it,
Yeah, and it has that gravitas because it
Yeah.
started in a theater and still in the theater.
Great.
It'll wind up on the small screen. They all wind up on the small screen eventually.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of person where if I love a movie in a theater, I'll see it as many times as possible, because unless it comes back hand-picked, that's the last chance I'm going to get to see it the way it was meant to be seen.
True.
But then I'll go home and buy it and watch it over and over. Very different experience, though, in the movie theater. So I'm really excited about your enthusiasm for the industry, albeit with some caveats and some recommendations and your take on what the business should be doing, how the pandemic affected the business, and how theaters and studios can work together moving forward to make this a better business. I'll give you the last word. What do you see for the future of both Cinépolis and the movie business and theatrical and the studios in general?
I think first and foremost, more product brings more consumers.
More movies, people.
Yep, we need more movies. That's the biggest and foremost thing I need to say. I think that creating dynamic pricing programs is the next level. And how do we make movies available for not just you but everybody in the world? Like let's start out at this level and let's get all the way to the top. And I want everybody to go to the movies.
I agree. Product, price, and experience.
And last, I think that distributors and exhibition are partners in this business, and I respect every distributor out there. We have tough Mondays and we get through it, but I think that there's a real opportunity for all of us to communicate better with each other so that we can maximize our partnership and that we can both, succeed in this business in such a better way. We're just, we're getting through it,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Joe Garel, Vice President of Film for Cinépolis, I really appreciate you being on the very first video edition of the Comscore Many Screens Big Picture podcast. and I'll see you at the movies. Right, Joe?
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you.